On today's episode of Phinside The NFL, should the Miami Dolphins mitigate some of the risk they've created themselves at safety through the NFL draft? We will talk about it, and I will give my top 15 safety big board for this 2025 draft class. Also, we will touch on Tyreek once more. We will talk about multiple 30 visits that have been scheduled over the last few days with the Miami Dolphins. And we will talk about some of the stuff ESPN is reporting leading up to the draft surrounding the Miami Dolphins. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. And as always, let's get into this one.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score!
Field down the near side, man open, touchdown!
The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. He's got it for the touchdown again. Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Appreciate each and every one of you coming through. As you can see, I am on my lonesome today. No Fin Too Deep. That will return next week before Neil heads out to Vegas for WrestleMania. So we'll have Fin Too Deep next week, and then the week after, usually on the week of the draft, we have an early week episode where we do our mock draft. So be out on the lookout for that one. We'll be dropping our mock draft in about a week and a half. In the meantime, it seems like you guys are preferring to see a wide receiver big board over a tight end big board, and that is just based on the poll that I put up under the community tab. So if you haven't had a chance, go vote. It's looking like landslide though. 64% of you are voting you want to see wide receiver instead of tight end. So it's looking like we're gonna do wide receiver and quarterback. Yeah, I'm doing quarterback. That's my favorite position. Them leaving a hole at QB3 gives me all of the excuse I need to go ahead and do that big board. So we'll be dropping that on y'all as well. So after today, 2 more big boards. That's why, hey, usually I've been doing them at Saturday. Notice how we're moving the schedule up because I want to get 3 big boards out in the next 2 weeks. So today is number 1. So we can have 6 big boards out for you. And the big boards that don't make video format, I keep reminding you, they will be available to Patreons and channel members. So all the like the tight end big board that will not be video format now, channel members as well as patrons will have direct access to the big boards that don't make video format. All right. So go ahead, show some love. And hey, if you want to become a Patreon or channel member, it helps me out, it helps the channel grow. I appreciate it. You can join the Patreon at patreon.com/Phinside The NFL. You can hit the join button to become a YouTube member. Hey, if you don't want to pay any money, smash that like button, subscribe. If you are new, it is free, and we are on our way to 20K. Also, for all you PayPal people that have been bugging me to get a PayPal is back. PayPal.me/Phinside NFL. All right, that's how you can donate through PayPal. So, yes, Tyler Huntley is still a free agent. Something I did want to talk about. Terron Armstead, man, what a warrior. I don't know if you guys saw, but a recent report came out, and it was pretty much made common knowledge that Terron Armstead was told he needed a knee replacement last year. You know, like that's crazy. This man was playing when he was told he needs a knee replacement. I mean, you just can't say, you know, anything more about what a leader this guy was. Right? Like, he basically said that he played most of last year on a knee that doctors told him needed to be replaced. That's crazy. That is a dog. And it's, you know, it kind of reminds me of a quarterback in this draft class who I'm really high on a day 3. You know, I saw, you know, again, stop listening to journalists and columnists who start watching film in March and all of a sudden they think they're draft experts. Okay? Let me put that out there. All right? I saw a certain Miami Herald columnist say, I'll tell Omar Kelly put out an article talking about how McCord and Shuck could be day 3 steals. Brother, they're not going to be there on day 3. They're not. Again, if you would have been following the draft process, entrenched in the draft, if you had probably watched the film on them, you would know they're not going to last in this week of a draft class. So, you know, I've been preaching for weeks that what I've heard on the interior is McCord ain't getting outside of the 3rd. Tyler Shuck, there's legitimate discussion of Tyler Shuck going at the top of the 2nd. What are we talking about? Day 3 quarterbacks. Not happening. Okay? It's just not happening. I don't know what world these people think this might happen in, but quarterback not. Listen, if Sanders and Dart are going in the 1st, okay? But I regret, going back to my original point, okay? My boy Kurtis Rourke, all right, who, might I say, he played out here. Kurtis Rourke played not too far from me in high school ball, his high school ball. So, but, you know, me personally, I love Kurtis Rourke and what, you know, my Canadian boy, but also, you know, let's be real here. Who all heard what he did last season? You know, right? Kurtis Rourke out here was playing through a torn ACL. Played the entire 2024 season with a torn ACL. That's Teron Armstead levels of leadership. And Rourke was good last year, too. Don't get it twisted. Kurtis Rourke was pretty damn good last year, man. So, like, the guy's playing on a torn ACL for Indiana, and he goes up, and he has a 69.4 completion percentage and 29 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. That's crazy. All day. Give me that, man, all day. On the 3rd day, let's go. Let's go. You know, people are wondering why his rushing took a dip, right? Because he's coming off years of, 200 plus yards and 327 yards in 2021. People are wondering why it dipped. Well, there's your answer. So, personally, man, that's the guy you take a day 3 flyer. And another guy who I like is, I've talked about him. It was between him or McCord for my man crush list. And that was, of course, Seth Hennigan out of Memphis. And now, if you haven't had a chance, go watch the Will Howard Gruden camp. That was really good. He just dropped Riley Leonard. He's got Seth Hennigan coming up. And then he's got Jackson Dart. He's got some good ones coming up. I do think he has Kurtis Rourke on that too. But, yeah, I'm... Day 3, I think those are the guys you're looking at. Dylan Gabriel probably slides. Kurtis Rourke's there. Seth Hennigan. Blah, 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 blah. I don't think... I've told y'all. I think there's going to be 7 quarterbacks that go in the first 4 rounds. And maybe yours is the one that falls, but then I hear how high the league is on him, and I doubt it. And the 7 that I think are going to go in the first 4 rounds are as follows. Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders, okay, Jalen Milroe, Tyler Shuck is going to go for sure. Quinn Ewers, he is probably going to go, and Kyle McCord. Those feel like those guys, those 7 are going to go in the first 4 rounds. So, I'm So, I mean, I guess there's a chance, there's a chance that, one of them slips, right? Because 4th. But I think the only one that might slip into the 4th is McCord, maybe. Shuck will not be there. Ewers, I pause on should be there, but I don't think he will because of the love you hear internally across the league. I think McCord might be the one out of those 7 that has a chance to be there, but then he might go at the top of the 4th. So, and hey, I've said the 4 picks they have from 116 to 155, that seems like the prime location for them to target a quarterback. So I just hope they don't take like Quinn Ewers at 98. Like, that's all I hope. And because, that's one of those things where I've been talking about it since like August, September, that McDaniel and them will love Ewers, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to be right. Like, I hope I'm wrong. And we're going to talk about Tyreek Hill in a little bit, but in case you didn't hear, if after me and Doug were done going live yesterday, if you haven't had a chance to check that out, go check it out. It was a really good show in the off-season format of the starting lineup, and we will be kicking off the regular season format, and y'all are going to love that. But yesterday we were talking about it a little bit with Tyreek Hill, and after everything that went down, now just an update. He got served, from what we understood after we went live. Updates came out that he got served divorce papers. And again, I go back to the point that I made yesterday. I just don't think he's going to be happy. Like, and it's not even about as a Dolphin or with the Miami Dolphins. He's not going to be happy in his personal life. This thing doesn't start off right, that's going to go sideways quick. Like, let's be real here. We've all been through breakups. We've all been through, now I've never been divorced, okay? I've been with my wife for 13 years, been married, this is our 10th year anniversary coming up, so I've never been divorced, okay? But we've been through breakups, right? I was on and off with a girl before my wife for almost 8 years of my life. So, we've been through breakups, okay? I'm sure we've all been through breakups, okay? Man or woman in the chat right now. Don't matter. We've been through breakups. We all know the dark place, now I've never been there, that some can go to. We've heard the stories. Now, I'm not talking about self-harm or anything like that. I'm just talking about mentally going to a dark place. You know what I mean? And especially when you got money. You know what I mean? And listen, I see what, D says in the chat. He's a relationship free agent. He's happy. I don't think so, bro. Listen, I've talked about this on the channel. People forget. Who's his wife? She's Kenny Vaccaro's sister. Do people not remember who Kenny Vaccaro was? The safety for the Saints? She knows how football players get down. Some wives are cool with the stuff on the side, right? As long as you make them the priority, as long as you make the family the priority, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not here to justify or to judge. I'm just telling y'all this is what the facts are. Some women are down with this, okay? She was clearly letting him run amok on the side. So I don't think it's going to be one of those things like, oh, I broke free from the chain. And remember, she served the papers, not him. So I don't think it's going to be one of those things of I broke free from a chain. It's going to be one of those things of, damn, how am I going to find another woman that looks like, because she was a smoke show. Every woman he cheated on her with, she was better looking than, let's be honest, okay? The guy had a steak at home and he was going out to eat McDonald's regularly. All right. So, the fact of the matter is she was willing to have a family with him, blah, 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 put up with it, but she just wouldn't put up with the anger, and she wouldn't put up with, like him throwing things, not at her, but like on the ground, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of women won't put that up because, especially when you're a professional athlete who's as ripped and shredded as a guy like, Tyreek is, I'm sure there's, a little bit of, fear of at that kind of aggression around you, especially with kids present. So, I could definitely see him, focusing on, let's put it this way. Is it really the best place in the world to have him? And I'm talking about Miami. If he's in a dark place going through a breakup, is that the place you want? We're not like we're in the middle of Wisconsin, people. We're in South Beach. Is that the place? Because I know that, you know what I mean? Like, that is that's a scary, scary thought when he was already wilding out the way he does when he was locked down. Just saying. The guy's clearly an animal. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest here. He's clearly an animal. So, you gotta, oh man. And I'm talking about from a female standpoint, he's an animal, okay? Let me verify that, okay? He's got his, he's got his PPD, his playa degree. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying. The cheetah is going to be running loose on South Beach. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, let's be real here for a minute. All right? Hey, to each his own. Do what you got to do. All right? Do what you got to do. But I'm telling you, those DMs on IG and OnlyFans are about to start blowing up, courtesy of Tyreek Hill, man. Let me be real on that. Oh my God. And I'm just saying again, South Beach is like the last place you want anyone who's got that ability to run wild like Hulkamania through in the 80s on South Beach. That's not an ideal situation, especially when we've got expectations. It'd be one thing if we were winning. And you know what? Can I just say this? Kudos to the Steelers. Kudos to the Chiefs. Kudos to these, the Ravens. Kudos to these teams that can keep this kind of stuff under wraps. We go back to Antonio Brown. After the Antonio Brown era ended, we all look back at Mike Tomlin and said, man, how much did y'all cover up? Justin Tucker that just went down. How much did they cover up and we didn't find out in Baltimore, right? Deshaun Watson in Houston. Yeah, we heard everything, but how much did we not hear about during his time in Houston? Deshaun Watson was out here posting videos from his front hallway of Mia Khalifa, dunking basketballs in his front hallway. You know what I mean? So we can only imagine the stuff that no one heard about, because every team in every sports, they've got cleaners, right? That are going to clean up those messes. That's their whole job. So, man, and X, how much stuff did we not hear about that X did? That guy was a freaking animal too. I'm telling you, and I've always said this before, hockey players are the worst though. Hockey players are the biggest animals. Holy jeez. Man, I'm telling you. At least, with football, for the most part, they got standards. I'm telling you, hockey players, zero standards. None whatsoever. Okay? At least with these with football players, and for the most part, basketball players, we got standards out here. Hockey players, zero. And baseball players, I would say, have standards, for sure. Anyways, it is what it is. Let's get into this Tyreek stuff because it's just, we'll get into some more details about it because Barry Jackson, he talked to some people about the whole situation. And, there was even audio. I don't know if you guys saw, but audio got released today of like the mother making the 911 call, and she was clearly freaking out when he took the baby on the balcony. Now, I'm going to be the first one to tell you, that is not a crime. Taking a baby out on a balcony in the middle of an argument is not a crime. But I could see, given throwing a laptop on the ground before that, people deeming you being in an aggressive state, I could see the worry because again, I'm a girl dad. Douglas a girl dad. We talked about this yesterday. That was I could easily see how that could make someone uncomfortable for sure, 110%. All right, and actually, before we get into everything, this episode, I just want to let you know it is sponsored by Clean the World. Great things. Clean the World works with over 8,300 hospitality partners to divert their soap bars and plastic amenities from landfills and recycle the collected soap into new bars. By doing so, Clean the World helps reduce pollution, save water, and decrease the carbon footprint of thousands of hotels globally, while helping to improve the lives of women, children, communities all around the world. So you can donate or even volunteer to help Clean the World's cause at cleantheworld.org. Once again, that is cleantheworld, all one word, .org. Go check out what they're doing over there. Absolutely fantastic stuff from Clean the World. All right, now continuing on, let's get into this one. Tyreek Hill and his latest off-field incident. Don't you just love it? Don't you just love it? All right. One that resulted in officers being called to his Sunny Isles condominium, but no charges being filed, has created a new round of questions about the star receiver's future with the Dolphins. Among them, could Hill be subject to discipline under the NFL's conduct policy? Even though Sunny Isles police sergeant told reporters that no crime was committed and there will be no charges, Hill is subject to the league's personal conduct policy. And while disciplinary action doesn't appear very likely, it is also cannot be ruled out. The NFL did not respond to a question about whether Hill's incident is being reviewed for potential discipline. The NFL requested the 911 call that Hill's mother-in-law initiated, per local reporter Andy Slater. The league's policy says in case in which a player is not charged with a crime or is charged but not convicted, he may still be found to have violated the policy if the credible evidence establishes that he engaged in prohibited conduct. Prohibited conduct includes but is not limited to actual or threatened physical violence against another person, including dating violence, domestic violence, child abuse, and any other forms of family violence. There are no allegations of any of the above in the police report. Before Hill's wife, Lakita Vaccaro, filed for divorce this week, Sunny Isles Beach officers were called to an assault between Tyreek, Lakita, and their daughter in the condo that he owns at the Porsche Design building. An incident report read. Lakita's mother, Alicia Vaccaro, was there at the time and told officers that the arguments between Tyreek Hill and Lakita were growing in numbers since the birth of their daughter. Vaccaro stated that Tyreek is very aggressive and impulsive, and that he has anger issues, and she is afraid for her daughter. Additionally, she told officers she saw Tyreek arguing and throwing Lakita's computer to the floor before grabbing her granddaughter and walking with her toward the balcony of the 35th floor home. At that point, she called police. Lakita Hill told police that she and Tyreek Hill have been arguing more frequently lately, and that whenever she gives her opinion, quote, he becomes very angry and throws objects around. Do the Dolphins want to trade Hill, and what could they get for him? At least before this incident, the Dolphins intended to keep Hill despite a series of distractions in the past year, including Hill's public suggestion after the season finale that he wanted out, which he retracted weeks later. The roster is being constructed as if Hill would be on the team. Coach Mike McDaniel said 2 weeks ago that he can certainly say with certainty this certain moment that Hill will be on the team. Then Monday's incident happened. On Monday, we were informed that the police were called to Tyreek's home. After conversations with Tyreek and members of his family, the police departed the residence without further incident, and the case was closed. We have since been in communication with Tyreek and the NFL and will have no further comment on the matter. Though owners Stephen Ross and general manager Chris Greer could always change course, trading him would be challenging and leave Dolphins diminished this season. A longtime NFL general manager told me that he could see another team giving up a 2026 third-round pick that could become a second-rounder if Hill meets certain thresholds. Though Pittsburgh gave second-round and seventh-round picks for DK Metcalf, he's 4 years younger than Hill and not surrounded by this off-field issue and that continuously swirl around Hill. Also, if Hill is traded before the draft, his $27.7 million Dolphins cap hit for the season jumps to $28.3 in dead money on Miami's books. Releasing him before June 1st would have even more crushing effect on Miami's cap, a $55.9 million cap hit on Miami's 2025 books. The Dolphins have only $16 million in cap space and need about $8 million of that to sign a draft class and practice squad. But what if the Dolphins trade him after June 1st? Wouldn't his dead money cap hit decline? Yes, but it would prevent the Dolphins from trading Hill for picks in this month's draft. With a post-June 1st trade, Hill's dead money hit on Miami's 2025 cap would be $12.7 million, and his dead cap on Miami's 2026 cap would be $15.5 million. Cutting him after June 1st, which is even less likely, would carry a $40.3 million cap hit for Miami and a $15.5 million hit in 2026. So what trade could help the Dolphins' cap situation and not leave them diminished this season? Post-June 1st trade involving Hill for a cheap starter at a need position, a guard, defensive line, safety, or cornerback, could make sense, but trading Hill for a 2026 draft pick would be counterproductive after Ross has said he expects better results this season. If Hill is with the team this season, will he be on the team in 2026? Unless he has an all-pro season, that seems dubious unless he agrees to a pay cut. And even if he has an exceptional season in 2025, his contract realistically would need to be restructured because his $51.9 million cap hit in 2026 is untenable. Hill is due $29.9 million in 2026, but none of it is guaranteed. Of that, $11 million becomes guaranteed on the third day of the 2026 league year in March. A $5 million roster bonus is also due that day. If the Dolphins cut him before June 1st, 2026, he would have a $15.5 million dead cap hit that could be taken at once or spread over several years. If Hill is traded before June 1st, 2026, he would have $15.6 million in dead money cap hit in Miami's books on 2026. And if he's traded after June 1st, 2026, he would have a $12.7 million dead money hit in 2026. His 3-year, $90 million deal struck before last season included $59 million guaranteed. If the Dolphins surprisingly moved on, which receivers are available? So he gets into some of the available receivers. And, I mean, we'll go over that when I do my big board. But, you know, they locked themselves in this contract. And now they put themselves in a position where, yeah, post June 1st is the only feasible option. Unless them and Drew Rosenhaus rework his whole deal somehow to trade him at the draft. It's not happening. Feels like they're a little bit pigeonholed. That just feels like where we're at right now. Again, you could trade after the draft, but looking for Tyreek Hill to help you out at this year's draft seems pretty slim. It seems like it's not going to happen just because they're not going to take on all that money. You know, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Give Tua the money, injury history pops back up. Give Tyreek new money. On-field, off-field issues continue, added with now new on-field issues. Give Waddle new money, stays banged up. Give Chubb new money after the trade. How's that worked out from an injury standpoint? Listen, we all love Armstead and a great leader. What did we get? 12, 13 games a year after we signed him? Like, it's crazy. Out of all these investments they made, these big tickets investments they made, what, only Ramsey's the one that's like bringing some of a return? And even last year, he looked like he lost a step. Like, we don't have luck on or off the field to all these big ticket items we paid. It's crazy. It's nuts. Nuts. The only one is like Ramsey. That's it. You know? I don't even have to get into high draft capital like Jalen Phillips can't stay healthy. Austin Jackson, top 20 pick, can't stay healthy. And they gave him new money. You know, like, whether we give financial or high draft capital, we don't have luck. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. Again, the life of a Dolphins fan. Can't catch a break. We don't need Kit Kats, because Kit Kats are all about give me a break, and we don't get none over here in Miami. It's nuts when you think about it. All right. Well, let's get going here. We got some 30 visits I want to go over. All right. So, let's get into it. So, starting off, Kyle Williams has been one of the busier prospects in terms of top 30 visits. Already visited the Jets and Texans, visited the Jets and Titans, visiting the Texans on Wednesday, and he's got upcoming visits with the Dolphins, the Bears, and the 49ers, Ari Pulley's told. Listen, Kyle Williams is freaking dynamic. Like, he's one guy I feel like no matter where I put him, I'm going to feel like I'm low on him. He's so good. Coming off a, 1,198-yard season. He's a beast, bro. 14 touchdowns last year. 20 touchdowns over the last 2 years. Kyle Williams is an absolute freaking stud. Stud, man. Absolutely love that kid. Big guy on that kid, man. He is, man, I don't know. So this is a, surprisingly solid, this wide receiver class is surprisingly deep with solid prospects. It's, the receiver class is kind of the epitome of what this whole draft class is, right? Like when Jordan Reed came up here and said, you're going to get the same caliber of player you're going to get at 15, you're going to get it between 40 and 60. Wide receivers like that. It's just like, a lot of solid number 2 fringe 1 guys, so Kyle Williams, I would love that. I think Kyle Williams has Puka Nacua potential where he comes out of nowhere, some team drafts him, goes to the right situation, comes out of nowhere, and has a big year 1. He's that good. Now, continue with the 30 visits. After a positive combine recheck, all right, Shemar Turner is set to visit the Colts, Bucks, and Dolphins. Stock continues to rise after the medical disclosure, and he recently had visits with the Cowboys, Cardinals, and Eagles. Like, I've heard round 1 buzz on this guy, which I think is crazy to me. Like, I think it's crazy. I think he's super good. Now, I'm lower on him than a lot of people are. I'm lower on him and Tyreek Williams than a lot of people are. You know what I mean? And that's basically because I'm higher on the upside of Deion Walker and TJ Sanders than people are too, as well as Aeneas Peebles. But, 6'3", 290, I'd be okay with him in the 3rd or 4th. They're talking about like first round. He's a natural pocket disruptor. Really good length. Yeah, he's a good player. He is a good player. It's a really deep class, right? I think what I say, Jamari Caldwell, my 15th. He's like a 4. He's got like a fringe 4th, 5th round grade for me. You know what I mean? Like we're talking like 15, and the lowest grade I got is like 4th-ish. That's crazy. But Shemar Turner, he fits in that 3rd, 4th range, I think. But there's talk he's going to go higher. I've heard legitimate round 1 discussion about him, which is nuts. Like I got Alfred Collins higher than him. I do have Tyreek Williams higher than him. Omar Norman Lott, Darius Alexander, DJ Sanders, obviously Derek Harmon. But there is a lot of discussion around Shemar Turner in round 1, which is crazy. But hey, that's the draft. The NFL is going to be higher on players than we are. The Miami Dolphins also had a meeting with UCLA football quarterback Ethan Garbers. I think this is a UDFA option. He didn't even make my top 15. He's okay. Like I'm gonna tell you right now, that don't get me excited. Let me put it that way. That's a UDFA option. I ain't spending a 7th round pick on that guy. Sorry, not happening. But that's a UDFA option for me. Doesn't really excite me. Doesn't really move the needle for me at all. Now, let's get in here because we got a couple relevant things here, okay? A couple relevant things here. This does move the needle for me. And we're going to talk about them today on the show when I drop my big board here in just a few minutes. Some visits. South Carolina Nick Emmanwori recently visited with the Miami Dolphins. I like that. That I like. My safety too, baby. I like it. Let's get that alien athleticism in the building. I mean, it makes sense, you know, like obviously I talk about guys that I want there. I want Will Johnson at 13, you know, Armand Membo or Will Campbell all day. I'd be, you know, I know people think he's going to go in the 20s, but I'd be totally fine with Kenneth Grant there as well. You know, Malachi Starks and Nick Emmanwori, they fall under the category of players I'm good with at 13. They're not home runs like Will Johnson and, you know, Armand Membo or Will Campbell in my opinion, but I'd be good with, you know, a Nick Emmanwori or a Malachi Starks at 13. But Nick Emmanwori fits that. I think that athleticism is crazy. That athleticism is absolutely crazy. The NFL loves aliens. I say it all the time. So, I mean, that gets me excited. Now, that's a good one. All right. Now, sticking with the defensive backfield, UCF DB BJ Adams has in-person visits with the Miami Dolphins, Atlanta Falcons, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Had recent virtual visits with the Bills, the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the New York Giants. Again, I think that's a UDFA. You know, maybe you want to throw the 7th Adam option. You know, that's nothing to like, you know, write home about. Let's put it that way. All right. I've watched a little bit. When I saw that, I watched a little bit of film on him last night in between my breaks of getting the video ready for today. Oddly enough, just film overload in my head right now. Whatever. You know, it is what it is. That's another UDFA option. You know, I look at BJ Adams, I look at Ethan Garbers. Those are UDFA options. You know, Kyle Williams, Shemar Turner, Nick Emmanwori, you're going to have to spend some potential real capital on those guys because I don't think Kyle Williams gets out of the top 100. Shemar Turner doesn't sound like he's going to get out of the top 50. And Nick Emmanwori ain't getting out of the first round. So those are real capital 30 visits. Ethan Garbers, BJ Adams, this is just doing your due diligence on potential late guys that maybe the scouting department really likes, right? Like what they did with Patrick McMorris last year. That's what that is. Guys, please smash that like button. You know, subscribe if you're new. Hey, donate if you can. This video is definitely going to be demonetized. All of my big board videos so far this year have been demonetized like instantly. So I expect no different from this one at all. All right. Now quickly here before we get into my big board. So this is the latest news according to ESPN and the questions for all 32 picks. We hop to the Miami Dolphins here. And what does Terron Armstead's retirement mean for the Dolphins' first-round plans? And basically, Marcel Louis-Jacques basically says, well, we all know we're going to see what we got in Patrick Paul. Now, what they're hearing with the Dolphins draft here from Matt Miller says the Dolphins could use a number 13 pick to take the first safety off the board, either Nick Emmanwori or Malachi Starks. But he said he's still not sleeping on Miami taking an offensive lineman with his first pick, even with Paul in the fold. Tackle guard Will Campbell would be an ideal selection if he unexpectedly fell to the spot. He could play anywhere on that line. And I've said this, listen, if Will Campbell or Armand Membo are on the board at 10, I would explore a trade up. I would give a 2026 third or fourth just to move up 3 spots and I'd do the same for Will Johnson, to leap the 49ers to ensure I get a blue chip prospect. Because if you can come away with a blue chip prospect, you've done your job. You've done your job. So, I would be down to move up for Will Campbell or Mon Membo or Will Johnson a few spots to avoid the San Francisco 49ers reaping that benefit, right? Shout out to Penn. She just came through and gifted 5 Phinside The NFL memberships to Hammer, Ronald, Fulltime FM, Dana, and Ryan Neff. Man, appreciate you so much, Penn, for always continuing to grow the Phinside fam. Appreciate you. All right. Let's not waste any more time, huh? Let's go ahead. Let's start and let's get into my safety big board for the 2025 NFL draft. All right. And you already know what time it is. Let's start in the top 15 right now. Let's go from 15 down to 10 into the honorable mentions. All right. So we're starting here at Rayon Lane out of Navy at 15 for y'all. All right. He's looking to be the 18th Navy player ever drafted to the NFL. He's the definition of durable. Started 43 college games in a row. And though he's not the best athlete, he does show some athletic upside. He can play on the perch, down in the box, or as a nickel. He's aggressive when he attacks the football with some serious ball hawking potential. He'll help out against the run, can play special teams, and he's aggressive from a physical standpoint. All right. Now, he can be a little over aggressive attacking the ball, which has led to touchdowns against and 46 tackles missed over the last 3 years, as well as, the length to his frame. It's okay at best. He's got to clean up those penalties. He's had 18 in 4 years. And I would also say his long speed isn't great. 14, Sebastian Castro. He's a player a lot of people had high hopes for heading into 2024 college season, where he posted his best passer rating allowed in coverage and most pass breakups of his career in a season. But after a really, really poor combine showing, he's almost certainly sliding. He's a smart player. Doesn't get caught falling for or biting on play fakes. Knows how to play in space from an angle perspective. Can line up anywhere on from the perch, the slot, as a box safety. He plays special teams, whatever he needs. Versatile, super aggressive in the physical aspect of the game. He's improved his tackling in 2024, and he's decent instinctually tracking the ball, etc. He'll be 25 in October. The athleticism, the long speed, sideline to sideline speed, the range, it just isn't there. I think being moved around the way he was at Iowa didn't let him perfect his craft. He could take too much depth when up top. His footwork is choppy. And I don't think he offers much from a run support standpoint, especially in trying to get off blockers. At 13, he's a player that Justin Reed mentioned, and then I talked to Justin Reed about because, I was starting to put this list together and he was on it. RJ Mickens out of Clemson at 13. He's 6 foot even, 199 pounds. He's a pretty good athlete for his size. He's multi-versatile safety that can play in the box, in the slot, or depth on the perch. I think he's a quick, fluid mover from his hips to his feet. Really good ability to shift his direction on a dime. Offers some ball production. He had 7 picks and 7 PBUs in 4 years as a starter at Clemson. By the way, PBUs are pass breakups. He can lay the lumber a little bit, and he's a smart player when it comes to anticipating the play developing in front of him. Not afraid to get his hands dirty in the run game. I'd like his downhill trigger out of his back pedal to be cleaner from a footwork standpoint. In open space, he can be hit or miss, literally. Whether it be a bad angle, can over-anticipate or bite on a play fake. And I don't think his top-end speed or recovery ability is better than above average. At number 12, Craig Woodson out of Cal. I think he's one of the biggest sleepers of this class, in my opinion. Woodson put on a little bit of a show at the combine. He ran a 4.45 40, 2.59 20-yard split, a 1.56 10-yard split. He posted a 10'7" broad jump at just over 6 foot 200 pounds. He's truly a three-spot versatile player between free safety, strong safety, and the slot. He's a solid tackler in space with clean fundamentals for the most part. He can be used as a blitzing option out of the slot. I think he's a smart player who anticipates the development of the play well, has really good spatial awareness. He can play sideline to sideline. He'll help in run support. He has a bit of a ball hawk side to him. He had 5 picks and 10 pass breakups in the last 3 seasons. I think he's so in man. More built for a zone-based scheme. Though he is experienced in both, man and zone due to his time at Cal. He's going to be 24 when the draft gets here. Hips are a bit stiff considering the athleticism he showed at the combine. And the motor needs to run a little hotter more consistently. Number 11, Jalen Reed. He's 5'11", 5'8", 211 pounds, has 4.49 40 speed. Can be used as a free safety, strong safety, slot option. He's actually a very effective blitzer too when he's used there. He's really strong in run support. He has great reading and recognition skills on plays developing in front of him or around him. He's durable, physical tackler, smooth back pedal, can plant and trigger downhill out of it with no issues, and he's physical at the catch point. Hips are a tad stiff. Isn't as rangy as you'd like him to be from sideline to sideline. Over physicality, trying to take a ball carrier's head off can lead to poor technique. And I don't think he's particularly strong in limiting yards after the catch. Now, heading to the top 10. Number 10, Jonas Sanker. He's a good athlete with good size frame and a desirable length you'd want to see go along with it at just over 6 foot, 206 pounds. I like how quickly he's able to read and trigger downhill. He has a high-level processing on the back end. This translates to instincts you like to see in coverage. He knows how to use his length to his advantage. This led to 15 pass breakups in the last three seasons, with 13 of those in just the last 2 years alone. He's another versatile guy that can play up on the perch, down the box, in the slot. He was even used as a spy at Virginia. Again, highly intelligent player. Staff's faith in him was evident by his usage. Solid tackler who can thump at the point of contact. I think he's perfect for his own defense. He's solid in open space, takes good angles in pursuit, offers help against the run as he can get through traffic. Contact, I love it. He can play through traffic, can get off contact, get off blocks better than I thought he would. His motor, it just runs hot in pursuit. I think his change of direction ability is nothing to get excited about. Don't think he's quick or twitchy enough to stay with speed receivers, especially in man. He can get caught over anticipating. He needs to keep his hips dipped and tackle more consistently from the chest to the thighs. Number 9 is Billy Bowman. 5'9", 7'8", 192 pounds. So for that frame, thank God he ran a 4.4 240 or with that frame and his length, which includes sub 29-inch arms, or Bowman would have found himself in serious outlier territory. He's an intelligent player. He's constantly communicating to his defense on the back end. He's at his best on the perch, but has played down in the box and out of the slot during his time at Oklahoma as freshman. He had almost 100 snaps on the boundary. I think he's also scheme versatile from man to zone. His ball production is some of the best in the safety class, with 11 interceptions and 8 PBUs over the last 3 years, because he's just so instinctual. He reads the quarterback's eyes so Well, takes great angles to put him in a position to make a play. He makes moves, man. He makes moves. I don't know what else to say. I love it. I love it. He breaks on. He anticipates, breaks on windows well. He just has that playmaking gene you like to see. His testing backs the ranginess you like to see on a game tape. He has a high running motor. The hips, the feet, the back pedal ability is smooth. Doesn't lose much ground when he transitions out of it. I think his short area burst and acceleration are quite good too. It's just seeing how quickly he clicks and closes. Now, here is where it is. Okay, this is where the problem lies with Billy Bowman. He's arguably the worst tackler in this class, maybe like one of the worst tacklers in this draft. The technique is very lacking. Add in the undesirable length and functional strength to his game. That shows up as a weakness at the catch point against physical receivers. This guy had a career missed tackle rate of 25.1% at Oklahoma. That's crazy. That means he missed a quarter of his tackles. Think about that for a second. Though he wants to support against the run, he takes poor angles. The bad tackling, rears his head regularly. I wouldn't want him in man due to his size, and he gets caught false stepping or overcommitting to play fakes. Like, that is bad. 25.1%. That is seriously bad. Latham Ransom is number 8 for me at Ohio State. Ransom is a safety that can play up on the perch or down low in the box. Loves the physical aspect of the game, whether it's lining up the corner, the ball carrier to jar the ball loose. He had 3 forced fumbles in 2024 and 6 since 2021. Or when he's asked to blitz a passer, he never shies away from contact. In fact, invites it, can stack and shed to disengage blockers as he thrives in run support. He is just over 6 foot, 206 pounds, moves better in short areas and long distances, clicks and closes very well, doesn't allow a ton of catches. It doesn't allow a ton after the catch. He's a special teams specialist and has some pretty fluid hips that don't slow his transition when he flips them. He's very reliable in coverage, especially in the box against tight ends. Only allowed 1 touchdown the last 2 years and cut back his penalties, which was something he needed to do heading into 2024. I think Ransom, he moves well enough in open space. He has really good length to his frame, which he uses along with his good functional strength to be a nuisance towards tight ends when covering them. Route recognition, his ability to anticipate the play can definitely improve. Misses tackles a little too much for my liking. Long speed isn't going to blow you away, and vertical threats in his coverage area may be an issue at the next level, even though I didn't see him get beat over the top much at Ohio State. And he also has some serious injuries in his past. He's had a broken leg, a Lisfranc injury. Number 7, Malachi Moore, just over 5'11", 196 pounds. Moore's super physical safety that can line up as a free safety down the box, as a strong safety, or out as a nickel if he needs to be deployed. He's a player that got better every year in college. Like, just flat out, the tape got better every year. He's instinctual, comfortable reading and reacting to the play, developing in front of him as his own defender. Can be physical off the line if needed and press. He tracks balls well, takes sound angles and space, and he offers some upside with ball production. He has 3 interceptions and 10 pass breakups over his last 2 seasons, with 7 pass breakups in 2024 alone. Hips and footwork are pretty fluid and clean. I know he didn't test at the combine, but he looks like a good athlete on film. He's very willing to get his hands dirty against the run. Really cleaned up the technique and not allowing his love for physicality to compromise his tackling. He posted a 6.8% missed tackled rate in 2024, the lowest of his career. And he only allowed, think about this, only 19 yards of the 132 yards he allowed in coverage were after the catch in 2024. Now, length isn't ideal for Moore at all. He moves quicker than fast, I think, as he looks explosive in short areas, but he leaves a lot to be desired when it comes to long speed. He has a bit of an injury history. His functional strength isn't great, which means physical receivers and blockers, they could pose problems at the next level. Number 6. Here we go, baby. I'm telling you. Man crush alert. Bling, 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 bling. Waller is one of my man crushes at the safety position. If you saw my man crush list at the end of March, I think he posted some elite numbers at the NFL Combine. It resulted in the 93rd best relative athletic score ever for the position. 6'2", 213 pounds, has prototypical size and length to his frame, his top end change of direction ability, has good short area quickness and explosiveness, is one of the better and surest tacklers of this class, and is most comfortable in the box, though he can play as a free safety and in the slot if need be. He's scheme versatile, he's a fit for zone, comfortable with reading and reacting as the play develops in front of him, or he can be counted on in man with 9 pass breakups in the last 2 years. He limits yak and even offers upside as a blitzer from the box too. He's another leader on defense who is active from a communication standpoint. He's able to shed blocks, take good pursuit angles, and be a large contributor against the run when required. He's super physical and aggressive. I love him. Long speed is just okay at best. Would like to have seen more of those pass breakups turn into interceptions in 2024. Hips and feet could be a tad more fluid, and I think mirroring twitchy, explosive receivers with speed isn't his forte, though he should be able to stick to the hips of most tight ends in the box. I do believe that with Hunter Waller. Hunter Waller's a stud. He almost made my top 5. I'm going to be honest with you. I was really struggling with him or Winston at 5. You can interchange them, basically, in my opinion. And speaking of top 5, let's get into the film. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new.
Kevin Winston Jr. out of Penn State, he's a very interesting prospect because his 2023 tape was really good. But in 2024, where he was expected to take the next step, he ended up being sidelined by a partially torn ACL since week 2 when he had to leave the game against Bowling Green. He's another one in this class that has taken snaps high on the perch, down in the box, or out in the slot. He may be the best run-stopping safety in this class, too. He excels working along the line of scrimmage. He has the functional strength to shed blocks. He's aggressive seeking contact when he fills rush lanes and loves triggering downhill. As a tackler, he's one of the surest and most disciplined in this class. He knows how to use his length to widen his radius. He didn't miss a tackle in his first 2 seasons at Penn State, and you can trust him to work through traffic to take down the ball carrier or one-on-one in open space to square up and make the tackle. Winston Jr. can read, recognize, and react really well, shows good range on tape, clicks and closes instantly, and I think would thrive in zone defense at the next level. He has the size, physicality, and athleticism to stay with tight ends horizontally across the intermediate level or vertically up the seams, has shown to be effective when used in the robber role, and he has a very, very hot motor and, constantly took good angles when I watched him. Now, what aren't his strengths? He's not a strong anticipator from an instinctual standpoint. Obviously, he has an injury history. He doesn't have a ton of reps under his belt. Ball production was just okay. And you can see he is a little bit stiff in the hips in his back pedal and transitioning. But, man, I think if he didn't get hurt in 2024, I think he would have taken the leap we all expected him to take. He's a very, very good player. And like Savon Revel, a guy you got to go back to the film and watch, right? So I'm a fan of Kevin Winston Jr. Him and Hunter Wohler at the right number. If they're there on 98, I'm down. If you haven't taken a safety yet, let's go. I see the upside. And what I like about Kevin Winston Jr. is just the football intelligence. The IQ is there. You just want the instincts to catch up to the processing, et cetera, right? So now Xavier Watts, he's number 4 for me. You heard Ryan Roberts when he came on the show. Xavier Watts is the most instinctual safety in this class. And if it was, I think only one player is close to him, but the rest of the class is not particularly close. He learned a lot from his time as a wide receiver, translated to 13 interceptions, 7 pass breakups over just the last 2 seasons since he's been a full-time starter. Just under 6 foot, 206 pounds. Might have the quickest read and reactability of anyone in his class. It's quicker than a hiccup, man. Never takes a down off and plays through every whistle. He's a solid tackler that can hit with some real power. He's so quick to plant and trigger down out of his back pedal. Can play everywhere from the perch, splitter single, down in the box, as a nickel, or even out wide depending on the matchup. I think going back to his time as a wide receiver, this has made him versatile in both man and zone. We're talking about high-level route recognition. Knows how to read a QB's eyes. And we're talking about like top-tier ball tracking ability. Allows him to stick to the hips and break on the ball with a good angle and man, or anticipate the route concepts and make a play on the ball with the play happening in front of him. He's a willing and capable participant when it comes to run support. He'll take good pursuit angles to make a play. He won't fall for misdirections, play fakes. He's a smart, instinctual player. I mean, look at the play he just made right there on the option. Watts is an okay athlete at best, so his change of direction ability is okay at best as well. He's aggressive attacking the ball, so you will probably expect for him to pay it. He's going to pay for that every now and then. I wouldn't say he's super rangy. I also think the hips and the feet, there's a touch of stiffness in there. It's nothing that'll be detrimental, but you see it a little bit. You wish it was a little bit more fluid. But overall, man, the instincts, and this kid's only going to get better with reps, man. And that's what's scary. The ceiling is very, very high on a guy like Xavier Watts. Very, very high. And the instincts are just crazy off the charts. And so are really the hands. They're nuts. Like when you watch the safety here, look at the concentration. Now that ball should have been caught. It was a good throw by Shuck, but man, the concentration, the hands, the instincts, it's just all there with Xavier Watts. And can't say enough good things about what you see him do. Again, he's a guy you can trust just to make a play. Like, you see, look at him right there. Look at him right there, just sit in his zone, read the eyes, and make the play. Unbelievable stuff by Xavier Watts. I know he's been mocked to us at 48. I wouldn't shed a tear. Now, number 3 for me is Andrew Mukuba, just over 5'11", a little light at 186, but the 4.45 40 and 2.6 20-yard split speed shows up frequently when you put on the tape. Rangy, explosive. It's been durable for most of his time at Clemson and Texas. Man, watch these highlights here. His film against Michigan in 2024 is damn near elite, man. He won the Jim Thorpe Defensive Back of the Week award for this performance. Didn't allow a touchdown in coverage for the last 2 seasons over a course of 746 coverage snaps. And in 2024, he had 5 interceptions, 6 pass breakups, and had a 12.1 passer rating allowed in his coverage area. Absolutely unreal. Some of the most fluid and smooth hips in this class with feet to match them. He's a true ball hawking free safety that is versatile across the slot in the box. He's patient, can click and close in an instant, and the instincts and route recognition may not be on Watts' level, but they're up there. They are up there. Love him, man. Look at him lay the lumber there, baby. Has good length to his frame. Like I said, he can play on the perch, can play in the box, can play in the slot. Has good length to his frame. Takes smart angles and is constantly making plays at or behind the line of scrimmage. Even in the run game, where he's very responsible in his run fits. Very responsible in his run fits. I think he can fit single high, 2 high, zone or man. Scheme versatile to his athleticism, IQ, and coverage ability. I mean, we're talking stud here. Change of direction ability is okay compared to his linear speed, I will say, and his explosiveness. Allows his love for physicality to impact his tackling technique. Functional strength needs to improve. I think his overall size won't be loved by NFL teams, but they'll love the tape, man. They will love the tape. I don't know how you don't. That is another guy at 48. Count me in. Count me in on Andrew Mukuba. I am a big fan of this kid and what he offers at the next level, man. Look at that pick. Unbelievable. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting stuff. Count me in at 48 on the Mukuba train if we don't take a safety. Down for Xavier Watts, too. I'm just here for good players, baby. And Andrew Mukuba is one of those. Easily, I think, safety 3 in this class. Easily safety 3 on this class. So, if you haven't had a chance to check him out, because Jahdae Barron gets all the love, you check this man out. All right. I know everyone wants to talk about Jahdae Barron, but you ain't look at this. This is to seal a playoff game. Look at Mukuba. Big time players show up in big time moments, and look at him here to seal a playoff game in the second overtime. Andrew Mukuba, baby. Let's go. All day, every day. Now, number 2 for me, Nick Emmanwori. He is someone I've been talking about on this channel since the college season, and a target I thought Miami could get in the second round by either standing pat or moving up slightly, and then the combine happened, shifting him into the first round conversation. Special doesn't begin to describe the type of athlete Emmanwori is. He's the alien at safety every defensive coordinator asked Santa for. He had the highest relative athletic score ever at the safety position. 6'3", 220 pounds, 20 bench reps of 225 pounds, 43-inch vertical, 11-foot 6-inch broad jump, 4.38 40-yard dash, 2.57 20-yard split, and a 1.53 10-yard split. And if you're wondering, yes, it's all over the film, baby. All right. No one clicks and closes or has as explosive a downhill trigger as Emmanwori in the safety class. He excels working down on the box, but can play out in the slot or up top as a split safety due to his insane range and closing speed at South Carolina. He's a great tackler with a large radius. Doesn't miss often. As the past few years, he posted missed tackling rates of 6.8 and 7.2%. He's really good in run support too, as is his pursuit speed, which is top notch. He takes good angles. That's where you really see him succeed as a tackler one-on-one in the backfield and in space. Emmanwori, he does offer some ball hawking upside, has some of the best recovery speed in this class too. He's pretty strong in man coverage. The guy's got a motor that just does not take a snap off. Does not take a snap off. That's all there is to it. All right. He can play through traffic, shut off blocks, has good length to his frame as well. I think instinctually with his processing, recognition, and anticipation, he's still developing at safety. Because remember, he's only been playing safety full time since 2020. He needs to clean up the penalties. He had 5 in 2024 and some non-calls where he was quite handsy and grabby that are going to get called at the next level. He can get a little extracurricular after the snap too, which has led to penalties. I would say his footwork as well needs to continue to improve out of his back pedal and in transition. Number 1, Malachi Starks. To me, Emmanwori is clearly the best athlete at safety in this year's draft, but Starks is the best player at safety who is the most pro-ready. It's a classic case of high ceiling versus high floor coming out. Truly versatile, can work anywhere from the perch to the slot to out wide down to the box, can thrive in man or zone. He's extremely intelligent with probably the highest and most polished football IQ from a processing, route recognition, and anticipatory standpoint, with high-end instincts that may not be as good as Xavier Watts, but him and Makuba are probably battling for second best to Watts in this class. He's just under 6'1", 197, but has really good length to his frame that he utilizes as a tackler to widen his radius, gets out blocks and run support, which he's quite good at, and in coverage to break up passes, as he had 14 over 3 years at Georgia. Starks is a really good tackler with a 6.9% career missed tackle rate. He's disciplined with only 3 penalties in college, offers a defense some good ball production with 6 interceptions in 3 years at Georgia, and he's a high level communicator on the back end. He's going to be a leader in whatever secondary he's drafted to once he settles in. I know his testing wasn't great at the combine, but you watch the film and then you watch the on-field drill work at the combine, and I don't think he's a bad athlete or even just okay. I think he's actually one of those players who finds a different gear to his game when the whistle blows and he's on the gridiron. So I think he's actually a good athlete on the football field. For such a smart player, I did expect him to take pursuit angles consistently better. His hips are not as fluid, as clean as you'd like. Could say there's some stiffness or tightness there slightly. Isn't an effective blitzer out of the slot. I think he continues to bulk up his frame and thus improve his overall play strength at the next level because it needs to be. And he doesn't have high-end recovery speed. But like I said, it's clear Malachi Starks is the best player in this safety class. I think he's just been hit with draft exhaustion and people overthinking him. I would take him 1 over Emmanwori because from a playing standpoint, he's more polished. But if you got faith in your defensive coordinator, when you look at the traits of Emmanwori, I could see why a team might want to take Emmanwori at 1. But, man, I think you're talking about Malachi Starks is going to be a top tier safety in the NFL, I think. I really honestly believe that. Give this man a couple years. Truly. Give him a couple years. He's just, he's just so good. Like, he just, the things that he does, he does the stuff that doesn't show up in the stat sheets you love to see too. Like, look at him fill that gap, come down. It's just great stuff from Malachi Starks. Big fan of his game. Big fan of his game. So, listen, Emmanwori, Malachi Starks, I would get it at 13. I would be totally fine with it. I would understand it. Now, do the Dolphins need to mitigate some of the risk they created by bringing on Melifanu and Ashton Davis, guys who have injury histories? Yes, I do think that. I think, it's got to be a serious discussion if the right guy's on the board at 98 and if the right guy's on the board at 48, Reason, why is Hunter Waller ranked so low on everyone's big board? I don't know, man. I guess preference? I don't know. That's people's own preference. I'm higher on him. He's one of my man crushes. I just like what I saw on film, man. So, hey, everyone's got preferences, right? So, it is what it is. Remember, when I had Dart at 2, that wasn't a thing. And now some people have, and everyone's, oh, you're lower on Shedeur, and now people are lower on Shedeur. It's just a thing, man. It just happens. I'm just really high on Hunter Waller. And plus, if you know the history of reason, I like Wisconsin defensive players. Those corn-fed, get your nose dirty, get physical type of defenders. I love them. So, guys, smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. I am going to try and get back to y'all this weekend. And then next week, we are going to drop wide receiver and quarterback big boards. And then we're getting ready for the draft, baby. And next week, next Wednesday, Damian Parson will be on. And that'll be an early afternoon show from Locked On Draft, and we'll be discussing the draft. So a lot of draft content still coming your way. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Over 300 of you in the room right now. Appreciate each and every one of you coming through, and I will see each and every one of you on the next one. Until then, you already know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day. Have a fantastic rest of your day.